So we have Brandon here, and first off, Brandon, right? It's super hard, man. We talk about the hardest thing to do is career pivots, right? Which is, in your situation, you got out, you're educated, right? You got promoted, but you found yourself in the retail game, which even though you're a manager, making decent money, right? Getting promoted and stuff, at some point, and I've worked with other people in different industries, there comes a point where people have been in IT for so long and sales for so long, and now they're like, dude, I want to do something completely different. And what yours was I want to get back into the finance thing, right? Because that's what your degree in. But dude, you got your degree 10 years ago, or maybe you're getting your first, you're transitioning from operation to sales or sales to operations. And we both, agreed that there's a lot of transferable things, right? So yeah, let's talk about, so what, struggles, right? Because you knew this for several months before we started working together, or maybe a year, that you didn't want to do that anymore. Is that right?
Correct.
What problems were you having trying to do your own career search? Were you even actually specific about what you wanted to do, or were you just applying for a bunch of jobs online?
Yeah, I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do. I mean, I know this was the number one thing that I wanted to do. I knew this was number one.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure that I could go back and make the transition. And I knew it was going to be extremely challenging. So, that's why I reached out to you for advice and to have someone kind of help steer me along the way, because I knew I wasn't even sure if it was possible to make the transition.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, so I needed someone who's been in the business and was a professional and dealt with the job search environment and knew what was possible, and I needed someone who could kind of steer me in the right direction and knew what was possible, what wasn't. I just needed some guidance.
And based on that, even working with me, how many times did you think it wasn't possible, right?
Yeah.
We had a lot of conversations. Tim, are you sure? Everyone I talked to was saying, I don't have the experience. I'm trying to tell them I do, but they're telling me I'm not. And when people tell you that, it starts to get you to question what's possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
So even when talk about your little journey, right? We start working together. We're doing a lot of activity to connect with people, right? But we first off, I told you, we know even with whatever resume you have, if a recruiter looks at it, they're definitely never going to call you, okay? So for individuals that watch this video, if you're looking to make a career change from sales to operations, whatever the case may be, getting a job with a resume to a recruiter is already hard enough. But if you're making a career pivot, they're definitely never going to talk to you. So the cool thing is, you started to get excited too. You remember even when we got a hold of that one CEO who's like the 50th fastest growing company in America, I could tell that your excitement was getting in front of all these people, right?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And the funny part about it was, talk to him how you actually got your job, right? So now you got an offer for Hard Rock Casino, being like a senior financial analyst type person. But they actually just a month or two ago denied you from that job, right?
Mm-hmm.
But so don't worry about why they denied you and things like that and how you got it. But what kept you going, man, right? Like if someone says you're not qualified, forget the specific circumstance, but how do you keep getting a hold of that person saying, hey, man, I am qualified, right?
I mean, I don't know. It just felt right. I just had the feeling that, this is exactly where I want to be. And, something inside of me just told me to stay persistent and to pretty much stick. I mean, I don't know what it was, but for some reason, like this was the one company that I checked their job postings like twice a week for the last 3 or 4 months. So it was just in my normal routine to check their postings. And, since I went through the interview, I saw what they were looking for more specifically, and I focused on, improving on those skills specifically and what they were looking for. And so as I was continuously improving those skills, I kept, checking the job
Yeah.
postings and everything and staying in contact with, one of the managers that I interviewed with. And when that opportunity came up, I reached out and he said, let's get you in here early next week. And for some reason, it just felt right when I reached out to him, without hesitation. They wanted to get me back in there because of my first time, the way that I handled the, I don't know
Interview.
if I would say failure, but
Yeah.
handling the rejection. They like, my attitude and the way that I was persistent.
Awesome. So we know, though, even though you were checking to see if those opportunities were open, we know that applying online still wasn't going to get you there. We had to get a hold of people who you didn't know, who could advocate for you in the company, and individuals who can hire you and stay kind of top of mind so they could remember you, right? Because these individuals are busy.
Correct.
And
Yeah,
then
if I didn't reach out to them and have those connections and relationships built, there's no way they would have called me for that
yeah.
position.
And, back to when they said, when you said it feels right, since you believed, right? If you believe and you don't let people question what you can do, like, I don't think you can do this or whatever, when your level of conviction, which is like, no, I can do this, whenever you keep showing up as that consultant, right? Other people start to believe you.
Mhm.
And that's exactly what happened here, right?
Mhm.
So I think that's very important for you to remember, moving forward in your career. When you believe, when you're sold, that's how you get other people sold on you, right?
Mhm.
Otherwise, you're always refining your resumes, question what's possible. Should I be doing this? Should I go back to what I was doing, right? When you believe, just stay sold on it, right? And then my last question, why did you decide to work with me, right? So obviously you probably talked to, I don't know, did you talk to a couple individuals or I just get you early on and you said, hey, I like this guy. I like,
Um,
I mean,
I mean, I reached out to the pro finders, and I had several people. I spoke to different people, and you just seemed like um, probably the person who was the most relatable, I
hmm
guess, to me. There were different people that, I mean, everyone was way different. Your package was different.
hmm
Their packages were different. Some of them were more like an a la carte type of package where, you kind of pay as you go, or, they do this and they do this many sessions, or you pay for this many sessions. Yours was by far the most expensive, but it was also the most the most comprehensive. So with yours, it may have been the more expensive, but I felt more that again. It just was a gut feeling where it just felt right, and I didn't feel like I'm paying this person this much money and I got to keep paying and paying, where I might have had to pay the top dollar. But this one, once you pay, this person's going to stick with you no matter how long it takes, and it just felt right.
Yeah, because that would suck if you paid for someone for 5 sessions or 10 sessions and then you didn't get you there because realistically, we both know since you went through this was a lot of work, right?
Yeah.
And how many times, I mean, we have the group coaching calls, the interview prep, connecting with you. Man, we should be friends and go have a beer. We spent a lot of time together. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, the reason why I offer like this package is the only thing that works. Hey, we're gonna do this, follow this until you get your end result, and you have supported me in the community. And that's another thing I wanted to bring up because, dude, you had struggles along the way, right? What were some of
Yeah.
your struggles that we had to work through?
Um, it's really, you have to be, you have to get your mind right, and in going through the ups and downs, it's like a roller coaster. So, you start off strong, you start off with tons of activity and you're getting a lot of things going. And then it takes a toll on your personal life.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of see the lows in your personal life, and you go from the highs to the lows mentally, and it's very challenging, especially on a long-term basis, trying to maintain that level of activity at a high level. So I've struggled, throughout the process, keeping the activity up and keeping my mindset, keep staying positive. This process definitely helped, for the long term as far as mindset goes. I've never had to deal with something this challenging for so long, so constant, taking, every ounce of extra time that I had. But, just having someone to hold you accountable. I mean, there's times where I thought of giving up, where I knew that I couldn't, and that, I couldn't let you down. And, times where where I may have given up, if I was doing it on my own, where having somebody hold you accountable really keeps you focused, and you kind of wipe all that negative stuff swirling around in your head, and you just start fresh, and just it gives you that energy to just start the next day fresh, and stay focused on the end result.
Definitely. And that's what I tell you, as we're working together. It's really, this is 15 or 20% tactics, 80% mindset. It's easy to tell you who to connect to, what to say, a blueprint for the interviews, practice a little bit, but being able to show up and do the work, right, consistently until you reach your end goal is difficult. But the good news is, just like I kept saying to you, hey man, keep the end goal in mind, right? Keep the end goal in mind, because when you reach it, you're going to look back and say, it was worth it. Because now you got a new gig, you're working at Hard Rock. There's obviously tremendous opportunity. We've worked through interviewing, so you already have, like, these people are excited for you to start. I remember when we talked about the salary and stuff, you would text a contact that you made there, and he was, dude, what was it? He called you within like an hour and like, hey, let's hop on the phone. How can I help you? What do you need? Who do I need you to get connected to? So you definitely did a great job of building relationships, and that's going to continue to serve you in the future. So great job on that. Last question. What advice would you have for individuals out there that have maybe been doing this on their own for 6 months? They're having ups and downs and ups and downs. They're applying, no one's calling them back. Like, at what point do you say you need help, right?
I mean, when you just feel like you're not getting any traction,
Mm-hmm.
and you need someone who's an expert, when you have someone who's an expert in interviewing and salary negotiation and being creative in ways to contact people, a lot of, someone who does this day in, day out is going to be more effective with their time, than someone who, normally I would go run to the job boards, and I wouldn't, contact decision makers within a company,
Mm-hmm.
where, when I'm constantly making connections with people who have influence in the business, I was able to get in front of a lot of decision makers.
Yeah.
So definitely being able to turn to someone who knows exactly what they're doing, who's a professional, and who's been through this 1,000 times, and 10,000 different situations. It definitely helps to have an expert in your court. So whatever money you pay, that money is going to pay itself off 10 times over.
Did the community help as well? I know a lot of people find that, because you've been here, you saw Pam get hired, you saw Steve get hired, Chris get hired. Did that kind of help when you were having problems of, I just need to do the work along the way, like seeing other people get results and talking with them?
Yeah, I think that helps. That definitely helps. It helps seeing other people go through the same struggles that you're going through. It helps seeing certain things click with certain people.
Mm-hmm.
So I noticed, like, the LinkedIn postings,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. Like, I know Pam started getting traction on later on,
Mm-hmm.
where that may help it click with you earlier on. So just hearing certain things that were successful for certain people, and just also feeling that you're not alone, that there's a lot of other people. When you're an experienced person and you kind of feel lost out there in the job search world, because that's not what your expertise is in. Your expertise is in what you do for a living, not searching for a job.
Mhm.
You kind of feel lost, and it's somewhat depressing, where being in the community, you realize there's other qualified people just as qualified as you, and other people that are even more qualified as you that feel just as lost out
Exactly.
there searching for jobs. And it's something that they don't necessarily teach you in college.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was going to say, right? It's like you aren't alone. A lot of people that are doing this on their own, not getting any traction, they think like, oh my God, this is just me. Everyone else there has a job, is making good money. We both know, off all the individuals you met, that is absolutely not true, right? There's a lot of people out there struggling to find a new career, pivot industries, get more money, whatever the case may be, right?
Hmm.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for sharing, Brandon. I appreciate it.
Hmm. Yeah, I appreciate it.